What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and this is my 2019 NERF Loadout. Alright, you guys, we're going to go over quite a few things in this video, but we are going to do a very detailed, in-depth look at my entire loadout for 2019 NERF in Statesboro this weekend. So, really excited about that event, but don't forget we also have FoamCon, which I will have a booth at, so definitely check me out there this Friday. And then also we have the Foam Pro Tour, and that is Sunday. I will be competing in that. We are wielding a team from Naptown with one SENC member, but we're very excited. Definitely come support Space Force if you're not playing. We are, I think, the second team to play, so we're really excited about that. Should be fun. I feel pretty good about our team. Don't have a ton of practice time in that format, but we are very skilled players, so I feel very confident. But let's get to that NERF loadout that you guys tuned in for. So, yes, this year I am wielding a brand new primary, and that is the, of course, FDL 3 that I just received a few days ago in the mail from my good friend Jesse and Jackie of Project FDL. If you're not familiar with this blaster, where have you been? But I have finally acquired one. I held out for quite some time to purchase an FDL. I never bought an FDL2, and it took me a while to decide on what exactly I wanted my FDL3 to look like, to be quite honest. And I'm very happy with the decision I made, and I got the brand new Wizard Voodoo Filamentum filament that is a color shifting filament, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And hopefully I can show you that in the video, but if not, definitely check this out at FoamCon and during NERF and the Foam Pro Tour, because I will be wielding that there. So, pretty excited about this thing. It is a beast of a blaster. It can do virtually everything you could possibly imagine, but we won't get too much into the details of the blaster. Let's talk about the entire loadout. So let's start at the toes and work our way up. One of the most important things to remember is to have a very comfortable pair of shoes. A good pair of running shoes that you probably don't care about too much because it could be wet and muddy. You're going to be on your feet all day in really, really hot temperatures. Keep that in mind also. But you want to have a very good pair of running shoes that are very comfortable. So as an option to my loadout, kind of a extra part will be a drop leg holster that will have 4 22 round magazines if I feel like I need to carry more mags. Usually I only run the 6 on my chest, and then of course the 1 in the blaster, and that seems to be a very good number and keeps me mobile, but also I have enough ammo to not worry about running out. Now it really depends on the type of blaster you use. Usually I use my Strife. That's what I've used every single year of NERF up until this is Stardust, and it has not failed me once. It has been an amazing primary, but this will actually become my backup primary or secondary. I will possibly run this on the other side in a holster if I feel like I need to have that backup primary or, you know, a secondary if things get really crazy. But that's kind of an option. I usually don't like running things on my legs because it slows me down. It's a little uncomfortable, but that is definitely an option to my normal loadout. So those will definitely be with me in case I feel like I need them. Now, let's talk about what's on my back, and that is my hydration pack. Very, very important, especially this year in Statesboro where it's going to be 90 plus degrees and very humid. You're going to be on your feet all day out in the hot humidity, and I know they're going to have water stations, but being able to get to water at all times during play is super important, and I would never play HvZ without a hydration pack, and that is including being human or zombie. It is the one piece of gear that I would keep on if I turn to a zombie. So highly recommend a hydration pack, or if you don't have one of those, at least carry a couple bottles of water with you, because it's just super important. Because if you get dehydrated and pass out, you will definitely become a zombie and possibly be admitted to the ER, which would not be good. So don't do that. So carry water with you. Definitely carry water with you. Also, carry some snacks with you, because as part of Snack Squad, we cannot tell you enough times that it's important to have food on your person. So I will have a little bit of food, but Jill, my wife, Atalanta, will also be carrying a backpack carried with probably a lot more snacks than I have, so she usually hooks me up there, but I usually carry, a little something on me just in case I get hungry. So that is also something to think about, because who knows when breaks will happen, if you get hungry when those breaks happen or what, and you just really don't know how the game's going to go. So just be prepared. Have a little food with you. Now, also things I carry in my backpack are things like a first aid kit, a small one, like a hiking first aid kit, just in case something happens. I also have possibly tools that if I need to do something with my blaster. Also, I usually will have a 1-point sling either in my backpack or somewhere in my tactical rig to use when I am not playing, when I'm not out on a mission, just to have my blaster slung if I'm having to stand somewhere. Usually don't like to run around with that on me all the time, just because it kind of gets in the way, but that is definitely something I try to have with me just in case I want to just have hands free of my blaster. Now, we are going to be running the same Biofang radio that we've been using the last few years, and it is very, very helpful to be able to communicate with all your teammates and other people throughout campus. Communication, especially for humans, is super, super important. So we have those set up with a few channels that link in with other groups, and that is super helpful. Now, there's several different types of radios that you can possibly get. Ours are a little higher end, and you don't necessarily need those, but I will put a link in the description to the one I use and the one that a lot of people use that are going to be attending ENDWAR. Now, moving to the chest rig, it is the same chest rig I've run since I started nerfing. It is a Condor chest rig, and it has never failed me. I love it. It has an open back, so it's much more breathable than a lot of tactical rigs, and it still allows me to have that hydration pack there as a separate backpack piece. And then if I need to remove my tactical gear and just have my hydration pack, I still have that, and I don't have to worry about carrying all the mags with me if I'm, zombified. So that is very useful. I really like this tactical rig. And then I have my narrow base holsters that have never failed me. I've been running those since the beginning. They are great, great holsters, and they hold those 22 round worker mags very nicely. Yes, I know my worker mags do not have darts in them at the moment, but don't worry, they will during the game. So I really like the worker 22s because it gives me the most ammo I can possibly get in the least amount of space, at least if you're firing full-length darts. And I still like using full-length darts just because they're a lot cheaper than half-length darts. I may switch in the future to half-length darts. I know those are allowed at ENDWAR this year, but for most HvZs, they are not. So I went with a full-length FDL for now. I may build a half-length one in the future. We will see, but I feel very comfortable with full-length darts for HvZ. Now, obviously, you could be a lot lighter if you do carry half-length, so there is an advantage to that. So it's definitely something to think about if you want to go in that manner. So that is definitely personal preference. But for now, I will be sticking to full-length darts. Using AccuFake darts for ENDWAR HvZ just because they are the cheapest and I have a ton of them. And then most likely for the Foam Pro Tour, I will be using the Adventure Force Waffles as they are much more durable at higher FPSs and usually get a little higher FPS out of them from the FDL. Actually, I was getting numbers close to 200 FPS. I got one or two at like 196. So that's pretty impressive from the FDL3. Now let's talk about my sidearm, which is in a very standard cross-draw holster from Amazon. I don't know the exact name of it, but the links for everything will be in the description box, so definitely check that out. I really felt like going with something a little smaller. Usually I run a hammer shot for HvZ, but it's a little big and I hardly ever pull my secondary, so I decided to go with the Messenger this year. It's a little smaller, and I like the way it fits on my tactical rig a little bit better. So going with that this year. And then obviously I will have a dump pouch to drop my mags into, because you don't want to drop them on the ground, because then you may have to run right after that and you will not be able to retrieve your mags back. So I have a dump pouch on my side, which also has all my patches on it, which is another thing we're going to talk about. And this year you will be able to pick up a Naptown Nerf patch at the Blaster Core booth. They are selling my patches at ENDWAR. They will also be selling them on their Etsy store, and I'll put the links to that in the description box below. They will be $5, and you could also pick up a Naptown Nerf Club patch through them. So those proceeds will go back to the club and help out our club, so that'd be really awesome. And I do believe also if you buy a patch from them, you will also be entered into a giveaway. So definitely check out the Blaster Core booth at FoamCon to see about purchasing some patches, because they have some sweet ones. Now, you always want to carry extra darts with you, because obviously you're going to be shooting darts. You're not going to be picking up darts if you're a human, so you're going to want to reload your magazines during breaks, maybe on the run if you absolutely have to, but usually I try to top off everything in between missions during breaks when you are obviously in a safe area. So I have those in my dump pouch on my side. I carry at least 200 extra darts in that pouch, and I usually put them into a Ziploc bag, because that will keep them dry if it rains, and dry darts are always the best darts. So highly recommend that. All right, moving on up, of course, a hat is very useful to keep your face and eyes shielded from the sun, which is going to be pretty intense this year. And then eye protection and sunglasses are going to be very useful during daytime, and then obviously have some clear lenses also for nighttime play. Especially if you're a zombie, you definitely want to wear eye protection. I know it's not mandatory, but it should be mandatory, because getting shot in the eye with a dart is not fun. I don't care if you get shot in the eye at 50 FPS. That's going to hurt a lot. So I highly, highly recommend wearing eye protection. Face shots are going to happen. It's just the nature of the game. It's not something we try to do, but sometimes it happens. So definitely wear eye protection, either human or zombie. You could possibly get shot by a dart. So hopefully that is helpful to you, and let's move on to the blaster. All right, so I have a pretty sweet FDL3 here, if I do say so myself, and I'm really excited to run this year. I haven't got a lot of practice time with it, but I have been playing with it around the house. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to war with it this past weekend because we got rained out, and that has really put a damper on a lot of my planning leading up to the event. There's a few blasters I was hoping to get done, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to because of the rain, but nevertheless, I have this bad boy, and we have a pretty sweet tactical light on the side here. This one is going to be allowed at ENDWAR because I have made the light red, and I used some red gel material that I got from a friend of mine who works crew backstage at a theater, and I was pretty lucky. I don't know if you can, if I find a link to some of this stuff on Amazon, I will put a link in the description box, but if you can't get this stuff, tape and a red permanent marker will work also. Just make sure you do quite a few layers so it doesn't look pink. But yeah, that works really well. I actually put like 2 layers of that in the filter of the light, and it works great. So I'm very happy with that. And yes, I have an ammo counter muzzle here. This is one I have, but this will not be the one I'm running at ENDWAR. I have purchased a custom one that goes color-wise with the blaster from Nathaniel, and I plan on picking that up at the event. So unfortunately I can't show you that now, but it will be this, but in the Wizard Voodoo filament. So that's going to be pretty sweet looking. I will obviously have the side mount for the Picatinny rail, so I'll be able to mount that onto the side. And I should always know how many darts are left in my magazine. I've added some iron sights to the top here with a little bit of the filament that I was able to acquire at NERF, the Maker Faire up in Goshen, Indiana a few months ago. They gave some samples away, and that's about all I had enough for us to do these 2 things. So that looks pretty cool. I really like the low profile of these iron sights, and these are just printed off of Thingiverse. So that's a pretty good addition there. And I have this set up for single fire, 2 round burst, and full auto at the 130 FPS cap for ENDWAR, so that will be something that I can switch between there. So pretty excited about that. So also I have added a stock to this FDL, and this is a worker buffer tube, and I'm not sure what the stock part is called, but I really like the shape of this one. It's very comfortable, and this is the collapsible one, which I think is nice. I'm not sure I'll use it collapsed because it's a little difficult to do, like on the fly. You kind of have to pre-do it, but it does collapse pretty well. It's not completely collapsed, but it does work reasonably well, but it adds a little more weight to the back of the blaster, kind of counterbalancing the amount of weight in the front of this blaster. And if there's one downside to the FDL3, it is how heavy the blaster is. In my opinion, it is quite a bit heavier than the Strife. So we'll see how that goes throughout the game and how much that really affects things. But I think it'll be okay. And obviously I have that 1-point sling to sling my blaster, so I don't have to hold it, you know, when I'm not actually engaging, you know, zombies. So that'll be a nice thing to have. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you this year at FoamCon, ENDWAR, and the Foam Pro Tour. Definitely check me out. Smash that like button. Please subscribe. And as always, peace out.